DICE are proposing, testing, and evaluating a new class system for the new Battlefield within the Battlefield Labs environment. This has sure got the community in a hot and arguably much needed discussion about the new game, the series as a whole, and the future of Battlefield. Where the series goes forward and its success may very well be in your hands. So get your thoughts down below and let the developers know how you really feel. In response to the news, Lock the Weapons Battlefield is exactly what I tweeted. There is clear benefits to such a system, though am I completely opposed to the idea of not restricting weapons to certain classes? No, not at all. Battlefield 1 was quite restricted in this regard, and it is my favourite game in the series. However, having previously played a great deal of BF4, particularly using Recon, aka the sniper class, breaking spawn traps and flanking with the ACWR, I do see the appeal of a more relaxed unlock system. When it comes to the new game's approach regarding these aspects, for me it's a question of balance and readability, of which 2042 sadly rather lacked. You could simply run around with the meta weapons like the PP-29, heal yourself with Falk, and never touch any of the other specialists, or classes if you will, resulting in less teamwork going on, less need for other medics to help you, and we start to fall down that rabbit hole of what is the point of classes and lack of teamwork. Teamwork is what Battlefield has done best quite well in many titles. It is what holds much of the series together, and when Battlefield succeeds, teamwork is a massive part of that. When it comes to locking down weapons, perhaps Battlefield 1 did it best with its rock, paper, scissors approach. Assault, support, medic, recon. Restricted class-specific gadgets, weapons, and most importantly, visually well-defined. Assault player can dominate close quarters with shotguns and SMGs, and also take on vehicles. Support with its LMGs tend to favour mid to long range, ammo, mortars and such. Medic more mid-range weaponry and heals, and recon, long range and reconnaissance. Clear defined roles through limited selection of gadgets and weapons to suit. Visually you see recon, you know they snipe, so adjust and move accordingly. See an assault, don't let them get too close, particularly if you're in a vehicle. These all sync very well together, especially when it comes to teamwork. Classes of course can operate outside of these given ranges. A recon can certainly get up close and personal, but they will have to use their skills, particularly aim and positioning, to counter player in these ranges, particularly up close against assault players with their SMGs and shotguns. This type of class balance and readability is essential for a rock, paper, scissors approach. Something I'd argue is what made BF1 so special. You knew what players around you were capable of, who has ammo, who can heal me, what your opponent is capable of as well, and the options available to counter them. The balance here is further enhanced through weapon design choices. The Gewehr 98, for example, with its long-range scopes, is a little tricky to handle up close, so again you have to keep positioning and aim in mind if you want to succeed on the front lines. Of course, weapons like the SMG-08 kind of throw this all out the window in some ways, but for the most part, the design choices were fairly well considered here. So locking weapons to certain classes worked extremely well because of the clear roles weapons served. Question is that the right way forward though? If DICE are considering other options, whatever their reasons, now would be the time to have this experiment inside of labs and we go from there. It's easy to completely dismiss these changes. I'm not saying I 100% agree, definitely needs ironing out and work, but wouldn't we rather let them play it all out here, right now, inside of this environment, right in front of the community, give feedback, evaluate, absolutely tear it to pieces if we have to, rather than it be hidden behind the scenes unchecked and appear without notice on release. This is your time, my friends. Give feedback ASAP and in as much detail as you possibly can. And this, in this discussion, is where we have to bring in Battlefield 4, a game with minimal class weapon restrictions, which upon looking further into, does have me wondering, are classes more defined by their gadgets and specializations, their unique traits and bonuses, maybe skill too, rather than their weapon choices? The BF4 had more weapon versatility than is often portrayed. Shotguns, DMRs and carbines were available for all. A recon player whom you typically expect a sniper rifle could be seen running around with an ACWR. It's exactly what I was doing. I'd be flanking the enemy team, breaking out spawn traps, pushing through on Operation Locker, placing a spawn beacon behind the enemy teams, and helping my own team to push from behind, flank, and break spawn traps. Something I really enjoyed and was very important when it comes to teamwork. So, for me, as you can see, on one hand, I'd prefer that lock system from BF1, but there are benefits to having more weapon choice as seen in BF4. You could still be that recon that helps tracking enemies and spawning up the map with the beacon, or be a support dropping ammo while being effective up close with a carbine. So is that where we draw the line? Shotguns, DMRs, and carbines, nothing else. No recons with SMGs, no engineers with assault rifles, or whatever it may be. What is your stance on that, guys? If the new Battlefield is going to bring along a new gunsmith system with more customization, attachments changes, mag sizes, etc., so a support player could now perhaps create an LMG build suited more to CQC, then does locking down weapons even matter anymore? CQC, LMG, or SMG, does it make that much of a difference? Perhaps not if that is the case. Then, is the class identification and separation more than just the weapons available? I'm asking you guys. If the answer is yes to that, and the intention is more weapon variety, if we do go that route, then each class, their appearance, their skins, and especially their silhouette, is increasingly more important and ultimately has to be easily identifiable. Who can heal, who can drop ammo, who can take out the tank nearby, all need to be easily signified by what's on screen. That's how you keep the squad play, the teamwork, and the PTFO going. This needs to be fully illustrated through appearances, skins, silhouette patches, even down to their movement and various stances. We need to know what they're capable of. If I'm in a tanker and see a player, that player's class has to be easily identifiable. If it's an engineer with anti-tank capabilities, we need to know. The animations need to be clean. If they're running with an SMG, it needs to be different to an assault player. That's where I kind of sit. If I rush a room and almost wipe a squad, see the last survivor running away, it needs to be clear if they're a medic or not. Can they come back and flank and revive their squad? That matters. If a player is low on health, being able to quickly identify a friendly medic nearby is important. Obviously, not everything is locked in right now. This is not set in stone. This is a test, and just as the blog states, this is part 1. What is part 2 going to be? Is it going to be, okay guys, we listened, but we're going to do this. Okay guys, we listened, we tested this, we want to try tweaking it and go from there. Or, okay, we're going to scrap this, we're going to do a more lock system like Battlefield 1. This is, honestly now, this is where we need to have these discussions. And I get it. BF1 for me sounds like a better system. That's why I put that tweet. I was like, you know, part of me is a lock system is the better way for various reasons as I've described here. But there is pros and cons to a system more like BF4. Should it stay there where we restrict it to a certain extent, or do we open it completely? And the question is, like they've stated, they're having signature weapons with similar traits like 2042. Is having these, a recon player for example, having extended breath duration that an assault wouldn't have access to while sniping, is that enough? Or will it be like 2042 all over again, where these things didn't quite have that much effect? Perhaps it just needs to be set to such a level that not picking the sniper on recon would put a player at some disadvantage that encourage certain weapon classes to be used. Is that the answer? I don't know. Whether it's a closed system like a seen in BF1 or a more varied setup like BF4, there is pros and cons to both. Perhaps we need to have a discussion on the amount of classes. Maybe the number right now is not enough. Battlefield 2 had a few more. Either way, I'll be there and I'll play it. Battlefield has changed over the years, for better or worse. BF1 for me got it kind of right in many ways. BF4 though, kind of like that variety. Again, there is pros and cons. Let's discuss it below. Let's make more videos on this and really get the community involved. This labs test is what we need before they just drop whatever they think is right on us. If it can work, great. If it doesn't, let's talk about it, give feedback, refine it, improve it, and go from there. Looking forward to part 2. Do be sure to drop your thoughts down below. I'll see you soon.